Greetings guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monat and this is my channel Evolve with Monat. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath and I'm so happy to share energy with you tonight. A little different energy and different look. It's very specific to the channeling and I was asked to share this with you very specifically. Now, I have been working with the fairies and so tonight this is brought to you as a fairy mashup and some clients as well. I had a fairy friend recommend to me a book called The Existential Kink, and then I had a fairy friend introduce me to Steven's Universe, something I'd never seen. It's a cartoon. Has so many incredible messages, and we are the crystal gems, and you guys are beautiful gems out there, and fusion is a thing. So tonight, the character that I am cosplaying to a not amazing degree is 155% a character named Ruby. But tonight I'm really coming to you as Garnet. Ruby would be more the inner child. Garnet is the personification of, I think, the fusing as well as the more adult, rational, practical version. So tonight, this is not going to be about a lot of emotion, but putting out to you some information that I think you need to hear because I needed to hear it. So it was interesting because this fairy recommended this book to me and I put it in my cart and my full intention was to get it in paperback and to read it. But instead I got it on Audible because they had some magical special going, as they sometimes do, and I read it in literally 3 hours. So it's a 6-hour book, but you all know how I always recommend to speed things up. Lucy, thank you to whomever the commenter was that gave me the name of the movie I was struggling with from the other reading the other night. I think it was when I was talking about studying or angel numbers. I don't know, guys. I've been putting out a lot of content lately. I've been very charged up. And so here's something else I want to share from my very filled up cup. So speed up your listening so you can take more in. So I got the book done. And when I had 2 minutes left of the book, The Existential Kink, I got a call from a client. And I wasn't going to pick it up. It was late night. I was literally in the middle of a hair day. And so what a hair day is, for a little black girl magic, for those of you that don't know, just like any of you guys have your normal hair care days of any gender, but it's a whole thing. So I was taking out cornrows and braids that I had in. This would be considered not necessarily a braid out because I've definitely combed it out. So it's not just the original kink of a braid out. If you know, then you know. And then I have to wash it and deep condition it. And I've been doing all of these things and blow dry it and all of that. So I have gotten to the stage that I'm at currently, and I certainly was like, I'm not coming on camera tonight because I don't have my hair properly done and all of that. And my angels just divinely guided it to be exactly this. They said, your hair is done, sis. That's what they said. They said your hair is actually done exactly how we want it to be done so that you can convey this message tonight, coming to them live as Garnet. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. First of all, the crystal garnet deals with passion and practicality, abundance, and finances as well. So this energy is about coming into oneself in a very real way, and it's about relationships too. Interestingly enough, in Existential Kink, there's a great deal of unpacking about the relationships that we think we want or we think we hate, and this is information that's incredibly great, to say the least. So the energy of Garnet, and I've kind of chosen a little shirt, if you can see it as I'm shimmying here, that has a bit of a red hue, a little copper garnety inflection here to it. But what you need to know about this book is so much. I would definitely give it a listen because it's going to unpack a lot of things for you. But one of the things that I know that we empaths can get stuck on is when we have a puzzle or two that we're ruminating over. I know that certainly is the case for me in my journey. And so until I can figure out what's been going on, I won't move on from the lesson, and I will repeatedly manifest said lesson again and again. And I think, I hate this. Why am I here? And the premise put forward by the doctor in Existential Kink is that we actually enjoy sadistically the resistance of pain, rejection, not having needs met, not getting the job. And I know you're like, Monat, what are you talking about? You have to listen to the book. and what she suggests that we do, because there is this part where we all understand manifestation. We all understand love and light. But remember, I've been talking to you guys a lot about shadow and integrating that right. And I literally have Lilith as a screensaver on my phone because I've been very immersed in understanding how my shadow has taken me away from home or led me exactly home. And I also think it's very fitting that I'm cosplaying Garnet from Steven's universe tonight, because Garnet is a representation of duality. Okay, Garnet fuses with another entity, and both of these entities would be considered neurodivergent if we were really to put a label on them. But she fuses with another entity that is her love, but it's really merely a piece of herself. And that's the thing. You know, we talk about it's like you're my mirror, you're looking back at me. As I'm channeling this energy and message to give to you tonight, we are all the same thing when we are in union and in relationship. The person that we might despise is a reflection, specifically why they guided me to wear these glasses. Garnet does wear glasses, though, and one that covers her third eye, because her third eye is actually the most powerful thing. She has perception and the ability to see. And the truth is, just like you and me, we all have that ability to see intuitively. But we connect with people, with twin flames, with soulmates, with lovers, with friends, and they therein have a piece of us in them, and we can start to resent it or we can start to love it and embrace it. But when you reject the thing, it is very much a part of you. This is one of the premises that she really expounds upon in Existential Kink. The other thing she says that I thought was so incredibly powerful is that you need to come to an orgasmic appreciation of the sadistic relationship and or situation and or circumstances that you've manifested. It is mind-blowing. It is on the cutting edge of thought, form, and magic. She is a magician, to be sure. And what I say by magician, we all are magicians. We are all casting spells. And she does a really beautiful job at the preface of the book, kind of describing whether you're wearing perfume or wearing makeup or changing up your look, you are casting a spell of sorts. And we get very caught up, especially if we've been indoctrinated with any form of theology or Christianity very specifically, to not understand that every single thing we do is part of God's plan, but it's also spell casting in its own way. And I want to demystify that, and I want to take a lot of the stigma out of that, because if you are Divine Feminine here today, you are absolutely immersed in practicing feminine arts, and you are practicing feminine sciences, which is metaphysical sciences, okay? And actually, the reason that we so resonate with Jesus is because Jesus was the greatest metaphysical of them all, or amongst one of the greatest, in that he taught us to think outside of the matrix, and he called in healing, and he changed water into wine. And she gives a fantastic description of this in the book about it's all about your perception. She talks about the 6 different forms of water from the person who's perceiving it. It could be blood and pus. It could be from underneath the water. It could be an abode for the sea life that dwells there. For a man that is thirsty, it could be life-giving energy. For someone who is terrified of ice, it could be a welcome embrace. She talked about all of the ways, and she said, and that is the same principle of water into wine. Your perception is what helps you to decide and actually bend space and time. Come on, y'all. In order to give you this message tonight, my aliens, wow, that was Freudian. I didn't mean to say that. But my angels, intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic, another dimension, bitches. We going, we're off. Got a blast, we're off. Okay, so check this out. My angels guided me to literally cosplay an alien, actually, because Garnet and her friends are actually aliens, essentially. These gems that have come from other galaxies. Anyway, y'all, it's a lot, and maybe that's a whole nother exploration, but I want to get back to this. I am in alien form, in a neurodivergent cosplaying form, to help you to understand that there's something about the law of attraction that you have to almost unlearned. It's not all this love and light and mantras and scripting, though I do believe to a degree that matters. But it is about embracing the reality of what you think you don't want and why you've repeatedly manifested it. She does a brilliant job. Now, I want to give a caveat here at the end of the book about talking about the fact that she will not delve into why children or people like children, before they really have a sentient understanding of who they are, manifest some of the situations that a lot of us have been in. Oh, I'm talking about SA and other things. You guys know exactly what I'm saying, because she feels like it's absolutely not fair and also not her place to divulge into that. She's asking you to do the work from the adult place, meaning what situations as an adult have you manifested. She's not getting in the weeds with you guys about how come the horrible things that happened to you in your life, and who amongst us here has not had a horrible thing or 4 or 5 happen to them in their younger child life, unfortunately. And for those of you, I send so much love out, actually, and I send so much healing energy. Imagine right now with me the color green, I'm hearing Archangel Raphael, and he is seeing all of the places that need to be cleaned. Amen. And so it is. Ashe, ashe, ashe. So guys, let's move forward. So she says this radical idea that blew my mind open, because I have been having an issue, and I'm also going to get to the call with a client that led me to make this video tonight. Instead of waiting until my hair was right and my makeup was right and everything was right, they said, absolutely not. You are Garnet. Embody it. And it is wild. It's something I never thought I would do. I never, ever, ever, ever pictured this. But they said you need to push past the bounds of your ego and vanity and get into a place where you are actually channeling properly. And that means getting out of your body and yourself. So let's get back to it. She says you have to have an orgasmic embrace to the things you hate. That's the truth about embracing shadow. Everyone's always mystified about shadow work. We hear about it. We see it on TikTok. We hear other influencers talk about it. We see it explained. And I am going to tackle it as well here. But this was one of the best breakdowns and understanding of the truth that we fear, which is that the very situation we say that we don't like, we absolutely love for reasons that we only know. And you have to identify that and get into that flow of it in order to finally release the repeated attraction of said thing that you don't like, and to let it go. Y'all following me? So let me give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example from my life, and I'm going to give you an example from the client that called tonight. The client that called tonight with 2 minutes left on that book, that I wasn't going to take the call because I was like, I got to jump in and got to continue with my whole hair thing, right? I wasn't going to take the call. And they said, listen, I need you to be my moral compass. And I was like, listen, you know, it's after hours. Also, I usually don't take clients on Mondays. And for whatever reason, my angels, they never miss. They said, answer it, sis. And I did. I also charged them the emergency fee because y'all, time is money, y'all. And when someone's calling you outside of the boundary time, I understood there was a reason. I knew it was divine, but we're still going to honor our boundaries. Someone needs to hear that message about boundary honoring. Even if you are even if you're getting something out of the lesson, there's still boundaries. I don't know who needs to hear that tonight. Anyway, Garnet needs you to hear that tonight. Oh my gosh, it just came over me so strong I have goosebumps. Garnet needs you to hear that tonight. Garnet is fantastic with boundaries. In fact, one of my favorite episodes, don't worry, I won't meander, I'll get back to it, is where she gets really pissed because one of the other alien neurodivergents named Pearl wants to fuse with Garnet because they see her as a leader and the most powerful. And so she's inventing reasons to fuse with Garnet. Fuse means they come together, they form a whole new creation, they look different. Each individual disappears and they are one. And then they are more powerful to tackle whatever the problem or the calamity or the situation is that they need to fix and solve by the end of the episode. And Garnet gets livid and so pissed because she realizes that Pearl's taking advantage of this and fusing with her because she just wants to siphon some of her energy. Come on, empath, this is a whole message tonight. She just wants to feel what it's like to be in that. And Garnet is renowned for being very practical and stoic. And people think she's unfeeling, but she's deeply feeling. Back to the message at hand. So, what she's positing is that the author, the doctor, the writer of Existential Kink is that You don't hate the situation as much as you think. In fact, you're sadistic and you love it. And I'll explain her premise of understanding. She says she was sitting in groups. She's a recovering heroin addict, and she was sitting in groups, and she was in these dark, dank basements, and she was listening to everybody talk about God and what a loving God he is. But then she's looking around the world, and she's like, there's war, there's pestilence, there's murder, there's grape, there's SAs, there's whatever. Like, how could God be this loving God? And she thought, well, God must be pretty perverse and kinky if he likes to put us here and to watch us walk through these really incredibly tough lessons. And she said, and if God is a part of me and I am a part of he, or the energy of God, then I must have some perversity in me too. I must have some level of sadism in me too, where I purposely create chaos because it's something to do. She segues into the most beautiful allegory, which is so poignant, of Persephone, who was taken down to the underworld, horribly abused and SA'd and kidnapped because the god of the lord of the underworld wants to keep her. And so she starts to tell herself the story, and she talks about a splitting, and this is why Garnet is so necessary tonight for you to see the archetype of Garnet. And while my shape of my hair is not exactly like hers, when you see the picture you will understand that I'm pretty damn close, okay? The angels don't miss this. It's not about me, sis, I promise you. And so what Garnet is, what was I saying? The archetype fusing, where did I leave off? So, Persephone. That's what you need to know. So Persephone, and trust me, follow me here, I'm going to tie it all together. Persephone, she says in the allegory, really what's happening is that Persephone makes up a separate self to experience the duality of life, the shadow and the light. So because there's a perversity in her enjoying some of the things that she wants to admit she doesn't, and follow me, if you're triggered by this, just follow me, and I promise you, read the book, or listen to it, or do whatever you want to do. She's going to explain it so much better than me. I'm just giving you a quick overview. These are just the cliff notes, or these are just the Garnet notes, okay? And so really, she's a goddess. She is whole. She is one. She has everything that she needs. She's not a mere mortal, according to this, right? And so according to the mythology, she has everything she needs. But what she did was she split herself, very much like God split himself or itself into all of the physical embodiments of itself to watch this human cosmic play. You get it? And so upon the realization of that, she wanted to be the innocent in the meadow picking flowers, but also understand what it is to be taken by someone else's power. So often, guys, we give our power away. So she split herself, and that's what Garnet wants you to hear you say, or I'm saying as Garnet, she splits herself in two to embody both of these dualistic experiences so that she can really refuse understanding that she was the total power the whole time. This blew my mind. So I'll tell you about the client, because what you need to know is there's a part of us that enjoys perversity. There's a part of us that enjoys, especially if you have a repeated pattern, and I'm not just talking about love. So very vulnerably, the pattern in my life is that I've struggled with my weight. Up, down, 100 pounds down, back up, down, 50 pounds down, back up, whatever, right? This has been the struggle of my life. And the thing that I'm going to sit with and do the work with as I go through 2024, so you will see whether I can break down this door that I have felt has confined me. What she challenged me with tonight in the premise of this book is that to a certain degree, I have liked the misery, whatever that means, being in the body that I incarnated into, being in the body that I've chosen, because it wasn't just that I was born at this size. Can we talk? If you're triggered, transposing it onto yourself, let me be the one that runs out and catches the bullets first for you. This is what a teacher archetype is to do. I'm embodying my calling. Let me feel the cringe as you listen to me. But then, when you turn off this YouTube TV, quietly transfer it over to your private lunacy. Because I promise you, it exists. So, I have created this situation. To a certain degree, there have been payoffs in me staying the size that I am, or up and down, but not ever conquering, quote unquote, the weight, then that is my thing. And that I was like, if I only didn't have this, it would hold me back, or all the excuses that we make. And she said, instead of lighting it away and writing affirmations and being like, tomorrow I'll be skinny, tomorrow I'll be on the treadmill, tomorrow I'm going to eat healthy, she said, why don't you lay in the state and almost imagine cheerleaders that are like, you like it, you're fat, you think that's where it's at, you deserve it because you're bad, nothing in your life works out. And I thought, if she lost her damn mind, this goes against everything in the love and light, world, genre. But she said, you need to sit with the fact that you get some perverse pleasure to a degree out of being the very thing you say brings you to your knees. So if you're uncomfortable with me talking about it, let's fix it. Let's go a little deeper. In my life, I have a theme that I have dealt with. It doesn't matter what the other person, because we're talking about other people and how they're just a reflection of ourselves or a part of ourselves. And that's hard to hear, especially if we're dealing with narcissistic abuse. It's hard to hear, right? I'm not a narcissist. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, listen, we all have a level and degree of narcissism in us, actually. I was talking with a fairy friend, and she was so freaking transparent and amazing. And she said something that just arrested me. She said, I, at a point in my life, was right on the edge of just diving into my shadow fully and embracing narcissism. And I was like, I'm looking at this grounded, wise, shamanistic woman, and I loved her honesty, because there before the grace of God go any of us, and how many of us have been right on the edge of just turning into a shit person because we've been hurt, or because we've been taken advantage of, or we're like, well, it works for them, maybe it can work for us. Now, we empaths know that that's not a bridge we really can cross, because we get lessons in karma faster, like rapidly. So as soon as we act up, the universe is like, get back into place, that's not what you're supposed to be. But I loved that she was acknowledging her shadow and how depraved she could be, and she really had to claw her way back from the edge of that madness and lunacy. Now, back to the thing about you liking a situation. In my life, unrequited dynamics have been the bane of my existence. What you talking about, Monette? Everybody loves you. We love you. I love you. Girl, high five you from across the world. Yes, I have beautiful parasocial friends. I have gorgeous soulmates. I have wonderful bestie. I have a husband and life partner. I have a mama that called me everyday Jesus Sans, and I'm so grateful. But what I'm going to tell you is, I have sought out, for some sick, perverted reason, a plethora of unrequited situations. And what the book posits in Existential Kink is that, to a degree, I have repeatedly manifested this because there is a part of me that I am unrequited with. Woo! What does Ralph Smart say? Can I get a hello there? I'm not going to take his catchphrase. That blew my mind. Certainly, it's something that I've thought. Certainly, it's something that I've read in one of the many self-help books that have come across my desk. Certainly. But what I'm going to tell you guys is that I finally heard it, which means that for the first time in my life, I have the ability to solve the puzzle. I'd like to solve the puzzle, please. I was talking to a client, I don't know if it was, no, it wasn't today, yesterday maybe, and I was suggesting, or was it a friend? I don't know, but I was suggesting that they spin. No, it was a client that called tonight. Yes, it was a client tonight. That they spin the wheel of the Price is Right wheel until they get the right configuration of opportunity that they want. And I'm going to talk to you about it. And she gave me permission. It's fantastic. But that is where this book led me. It helped me to understand that I had manifested unrequited rejection repeatedly. I understand the childhood origins of that and the triggering. I understand the narcissistic energies that first taught me that this was how people don't love you, and so it is love, and you're always clamoring for this and proving yourself and doing all this other dumb shit that we do. But it is something that I have made a choice to choose in adulthood. That was something foisted upon me as a child. I know exactly the person and the moment that I got the wild idea that I should love someone more than they love me, and I should work so hard for their energy. But in my grown ass adult life, we cursing, it's after hours, guys. This empath, this teacher, this light worker, this humble servant, this messed up person, this perverse, kinky, twisted person chose to bring people in my life that all look different. So I switched out races, I switched out sexes, but I was getting the same experience to some degree where someone wouldn't fully accept me in the way that I had lovingly accepted them, or so I thought. And the reason is, it's because I wasn't accepting me. Unrequited love is not always romantic, so I could have been shunned in many ways. I have been, from cults to this and that, and then a cult. That was good. That was a good shunning, because I clocked their ass. But that's another thing. My intuition understands that I am seeking out someone that reminds me of my ex, or seeking out someone that reminds me of my dad, or seeking out someone like I am so powerful, and you are so powerful. Don't take this as like Monette cosplaying as Garnet now thinks she's powerful. No. We, collective, are powerful. And I repeatedly got into relationships right up until this very time in my life with people that could not treat me right, or didn't see my special light or magic. And no matter, and everyone else around could love the life out of me, love me to life, love me to the sun and back. But for some reason to them, I just wasn't where it was at. And I kept wondering, how did I get here? And until Existential Kink, I did not understand that I was relishing in the despair, because that's a wound that's familiar to me. And so what she suggests is that you get very intentional about doing work, and she walks you through it. I'm not going to give away the whole book. You guys you have to go read it. But she walks you through exercises and steps. Pardon me, guys. She walks you through exercises and steps on how to get in touch with the feeling. I told you about one of them with the cheerleaders that are the toxic cheerleaders. How to get into the feeling of orgasm. So not just physical orgasm, but she does talk about actual physical orgasm. And that's totally what caught my attention. I was like, oh my God, this is so right up my alley, to get specifically for this one for me, because it is a sacral rune. It is a root chakra rune. Sacral associated with the color orange, root chakra associated with the color red. But root chakra is about family. Sacral is about pleasure. I have manifested repeatedly situations in my life that deprived me of the fullness of pleasure that I feel like I deserve. And why? Well, let's unpack that to a certain degree. Not just about not knowing my worth, but because then it reaffirmed some story I was telling myself. And so, like I said, it could be different sexes, it could be different races, it could be different bodies, it could be different genders, all of that. And I got the same experience. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, this person reminds me of my ex in this way, whether they understood it or not. And my angel said, step out of blaming them. And this is why my angels they allowed me to channel this tonight and get into this tonight. And I have to read this book tonight, because they're like, it's time for you to get your life. You are the decider of this. You get to decide what body you want to be in. You get to decide how requited or unrequited, whatever situation you choose to be in. You deserve every fucking thing, and so do you. But I have perversely, in the same way that God has put us all here and been like, run amok, good luck, good luck. In the same way that God has put us here and done that, it's the same way that I put myself in those situations and manifested them. One after another, after another, after another. Even if, it wasn't always romantic, to some degree, I have manifested lack of reciprocity or unrequited energy. And that is my tea. All right, you always got to spill your own tea. So, and so it didn't matter if the world loved me, or how many wonderful reviews I got, or how many stars I was rated, or how many accolades, or how many people, like, I've had beautiful things in my life as an overachiever happen to me because I worked my ass off for it. But for the people that I really just like had an affinity for, or the situations I really wanted, I remember getting rejected for like a writing competition. I was always like, how Sway? How did I end up here again when I just give everything and I roll out the red carpet and I make the dinner the best and I, like I've cooking competitions. Like there's all kinds of situations. It's not just romantic, but even in romance, that was my lesson. So what she suggests is to get very comfortable with it. So comfortable that it becomes orgasmic. And she means figuratively, but she actually means literally too, but it's YouTube, so I can't get into all that. But she's like, get so comfortable with the idea of the thing that you perversely, like, she's like, be in gratitude and thank yourself. Like, oh, look at this. I manifested again that I have unrequited situation, or I'm in an unrequited job, or I'm in an unrequited love, or I'm in an unrequited connection. And the person just literally isn't going to meet my needs. You did it again because you're so good at getting exactly where you want to. That's a level of it. It's deeper than that, y'all. But I was like, oh my gosh. She was like, you need to. See, if all parts of you deserve pleasure, and this is across the board, this is not just about my issue, if all parts of you deserve pleasure, the perverse kinky side of you, the perverse twisted demented side of you that wanted to manifest the situation that you're in repeatedly deserves to acknowledge that you've accomplished something. You did exactly what you set out to do, subconsciously or otherwise. She gives an example of having been in a toxic relationship with her boyfriend, and he was abusive and throwing things at her and treating her horribly and whatever, but then she admitted to herself what she liked when she started to embark and develop this theory and do this work. She liked that she was controlled by someone, so she didn't have to make decisions. She liked that someone was so obsessively in love with her that they wanted to possess her in that way. That gave her a thrill, an orgasmic thrill, when she was honest with herself. And I am not saying that anybody, especially with what's going on with Kiki Palmer, consciously is like, yes, I love this. But we're not dealing with the conscious. We're dealing with the subconscious when we're dealing with shadow work. And from the cosplay of one Miss Garnet, in the most neurodivergent way, it's not about your feelings. It's about the truth of what your inner soul is saying to you, because you keep putting yourself there. So there must be something in it for you. So one of the things I heard Dr. Phil say, it's the only thing that I really keep in my memory bank from him, is what is the payoff? We only do things where there's a payoff. And if you find yourself even in a toxic, negative situation repeatedly, to some degree, you like something about it perversely. It's guys, it's a tough pill to swallow because it makes us uncomfortable. When I heard her, I was like, oh my gosh, but see, what I have been praying for is a breakthrough. I wanted a release from the bondage of unrequited. I wanted a release from the bondage of not meeting my body goals, right? I wanted that, or so I thought. And so I had to journal, and I had to get into the truth of why I have kept myself exactly where I'm at, and why it doesn't matter what gender, race, nationality, ethnicity it is. I always find someone who's like, I like you, but like this, and from over here, and just like this. And with so many timers and boundaries on interactions. Like, I did it repeatedly. And I wanted to be free. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I wanted to be free so badly that they sent in an earth angel and a fairy. I think it is 33 on the clock. I can't see with these glasses on. I mean, I can see, but they're designed for you like to block out a lot of light, and they do. Something is blocking out the light. Skyrockets in flight, afternoon delight. 33:22 on the clock. Soon it will be 33:33. The angels and ancestors stepped in, actually. That's what I just channeled. So that's why, for me, I was so sick of being sick in those two situations I described so vulnerably with you. And I was like, how do I keep doing it? Because it doesn't matter if I get rid of the person. They are a representation literally of me, of the part in me that doesn't accept me, of the part in me that puts all these terms and conditions on loving me. That unrequited energy could only show up so repeatedly because it is prevalent in me and I called it in. And so she said, perversely, to embrace that and thank yourself because you did it again. Look at you. You manifested more bullshit. And it's not about the person. That would be projection, which is what I had definitely been guilty of being lost in all the situations in my life that were basura. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I get here again? Now, sometimes people are really toxic and they are really, this is a cult, whatever. But all of the connections I had weren't necessarily toxic. Maybe there was duplicity, but then the angels pointed it back to me. Where is there duplicity in you? Why, Sage? That part. What are you lying to yourself about? How are you keeping yourself in a cage? Anything that I could say about anybody that I'd want to project, well, why did you win? It's not fair. And they say, well, ask yourself first, because you're creating the reality and you are reveling in it, or you wouldn't be here again. Now, on to the client. So the client calls me tonight with 2 minutes left on the book, and she says, I'm having a moral crisis consciousness. This client is a self-proclaimed goody two-shoes, air quotes here. And she said, straight away, she got right into it. She's like, I want to have a threesome. I love my life. I love my work. She said, I want to have a threesome. And I said, okay. And I knew. My whole body lit up because I knew I had work to do. And I knew the work I was going to do was very specifically related to the book, The Existential Kink. And so I said to her, what's going on? She was like, they just called and the thing is I've had repeated offers, and not just from them, and whatever. And actually they were like, maybe you'll come by on this day or this day later this week, and then this day and this day kind of turned into like, can you come by tonight? So she's calling me almost like a coach, like in that regard. And I do coaching with her. And she's saying essentially like, I need your help right now because I'm like at an existential crisis. She's at an existential crisis with her existential kink, which is that as a young mother of 3, at a point in her life, her kids are now grown up and mostly out of the house and all of that stuff. So one is out of the house, another is a senior, and then she has another one. But she is starting to have this resurgence and reawakening and living her life. And sexual energy, after she's been a staunch Christian, hello Christ, I'm about to sin again. She's been a staunch Christian, and she was very much confused because she was like, girl, the way that I want to go over there, I said, I know, I feel it. But I said, here's the thing. You could turn down their offer, and I'm not here to be anybody's moral compass. You will have to make this decision, because I talked to her about energy transference and spiritually transmitted demons. I did my due diligence, but I knew that what I was supposed to help her explore is her shadow. So I said to her, my love, what this is really about is shadow work. She's like, it's crazy. I have goosebumps. You just said that. I just started a shadow work journal 2 days ago. I said, it's not a coincidence that this is happening. Everything is divinely ordered. And she said, but I haven't really understood the concept of it. And I said, well, you're about to get a master class. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I'm not talking about me being the teacher. I'm talking about the opportunity to learn from the very lesson that she manifested. I said, it doesn't matter if you turn down this couple that is reaching out to you. What matters is that you understand that the call's coming from inside the home. You, my dear, are the home. You, my good sis, are the home. You have manifested this because to a certain degree, while you see it as chaotic and perverse and kinky, there's something in it that makes you feel free and tantalized and tantillated and all those words. For you, you find it delicious. And I unpacked with her very quickly what I could ascertain. I said, you like the idea of being centered between two people's pleasure. You like the idea that these people have been talking about you and thinking about you, and that you are the object of desire. You like the idea of exploring these sexual kinks that you never got to because you suppressed them for so long as you're going through your reawakening. She's like, I'm not supposed to like it. This is bad. And I said, good or bad, this is an experience that to a degree you have called in repeatedly, and you will call it in again until you know what to do with it. I said, again, I really believe in energy transference. I'm not one to just hop in bed with anybody. I have to really like them. I have to really want to connect with them. I have to really have vetted to a certain degree their own spiritual energy. But to each their own. There are people in their chart astrologically that are supposed to be sex workers, that literally it's in their chart that they service humanity in that way. I know that that may be blasphemy to somebody, but again, think about the God that put us here with all of its incredible and sometimes horrific and sometimes exhilarating duality that exists in all of us. That's what real shadow work is, kids. And so when my client calls and she wants me to be her God and her Pope and her priest, and I said, no absolution do I have to offer you, but neither any judgment shall I cast upon you either, my good sis, because what you have done is what we all do, which is manifest a situation which you say is foreign to you and that you don't want to partake in, but you've called it in repeatedly. It's not just that couple, it's many. And you're not on anybody's adverts list, and you're not on any sex chat groups. This is organically coming to you because the desire is coming from you. And you need to explore what that is. That is her existential crisis and her existential kink. The person that she was in a toxic relationship with that she couldn't pull away from. She kept telling me, like, I know it's bad, and I told her, and right from the beginning I was involved and I helped her and whatever, but there was something delicious there, even though he was degrading and sometimes abusive. And that's the work that this book suggests that you take a look at, because to a degree, the thing that you say you don't want, you have manifested repeatedly, or you won't walk away from completely. Her energy and her idea is not just that you look at it and have orgasms over it emotionally, figuratively, or literally. It's that you get so comfortable with understanding that that's part of you, that that terrible thing is something that you did want to do or experience, or you got a payoff out of it. Did you hear the things that I described with my client? And every time I said something, she was like, oh my God, you're right. I do like the idea of that. But her good Christian self could not let her think that. And so she was about to fling herself headlong into an experience. And I said, listen, I don't care if you go or not, but I'm going to give you homework. How could I not? I'm going to give you homework. I want you to write down the 10 real dark, dirty ass things that are your motivations for being in that house with those people tonight. And if you do go, even if you don't follow through in full with the sexual activity, I want you, when you come home, to write down what you felt. Then we'll do a session and we'll take a look at it. And if you don't go, I still want you to write down the 10 reasons why your shadow self is pulling you there. This is what is posited in this book, Existential Kink. It is, how do you get so comfortable with the thing that you've shunned and turned away and said you shouldn't do, and you don't want this experience? I thought I have hated unrequited. I guess not, because I keep pulling it in. And I can clock when someone's full of it and they have no instance of following through, but then that's even projection, because the no follow through is in me too, and me first. To some degree, whatever situations I manifested, including the body and the weight and the up and the down, there is some perverse, low vibrational, sadistic, that's the word, when you get pleasure out of pain thing. Because even with the body, guys, if we're talking talk, it costs you a lot, meaning it's a heavy weight, puns intended, in every single way. And yet it's a life I chose day after day in adulthood. Okay? And that's what she really wants you to take a look at. Why do I like this? What's the payoff in this? That's real shadow work, kids. That's real shadow work, sis. Why do I keep doing this to myself over and over and over and over and over and over again? Towards the end of it, she recommends 2 drugs, ayahuasca and MDMA, in proper dosages, forms, with doctors and under supervision, whatever. Here's the deal, because it opens you to really get to the truths that we sometimes disguise, specifically ayahuasca, and that is next on my list. But Mama I has been calling me, but I guess I wasn't ready for her yet. But I see that I'm moving closer and closer to that moment. What I'm going to tell you is this: in order to integrate your shadow, a message from Garnet, you have to fuse with yourself and tell yourself the truth. And the relationships that are in front of you are only reflections of you, and they are literally a spliced off part of you. That's hard to hear, but I think what's happened in my life is that I finally got so fed up with reliving the same thing, and I have needs that have to be met and will be met as a divine feminine. I don't just need them met, I deserve for them to be met, because I give out a lot of energy to the collective. You guys see me here for a few minutes when you see me, but I am working with clients every day from sun up to sundown. When you see me traveling the world, I'm working with clients. There's no place that I don't go where I'm not working. I'm in a car, I'm shuffling. Anybody that's been around me, y'all can nod your head in agreement. You know, my parasocial friends that have turned into real friends, y'all know. I don't ever go anywhere where I'm not trying to help others grow. And so how come I decided to relive this hellscape sadistically where I'm not fed the kind of energy that replenishes me. There's something to be said about that burning the candle at both ends, which I can be guilty of. But it showed up in my life, but it's because it is literally a facsimile of what my own internal thoughts are, just transposed on people. So it doesn't matter who I stay with or leave or break up with or how many times I escape a cult or do whatever, until I heal that, integrate it, face it, and get orgasmically honest about why I liked it, because it reaffirmed whatever sick thing for me, and I'm going to work on that and understand what it is, then I can't set myself free. But here's the best part. Freedom is available. Setting yourself free is exactly what is supposed to happen in these situations. 4-4 on the clock. I love to see it. 44 minutes. That 4-4 is about work and balance. In my life, I'm supposed to be in balance. And for 2024, it's supposed to be about work for me. It's supposed to be about setting myself free of a lot of bondages. So those are two I've talked to you about, but I have so much more, just like the rest of you. We're all here on this earth living this life. And she's like, face this fear that you actually like the thing you think you don't like, so that you can integrate the shadow energy of it and finally start to manifest a life that really fits what you say you are. And then you can shift and change the dynamic, and that actually takes you far away from being in the loop of sadism and lunacy. Message from Garnet coming through me to you. It's an energy and a message that we all need to understand, because it's something that we all do. Think about the thing in your life that you said you hated. How come you had multiples of that? Think about the job that you said you didn't want to be at. How come you manifested several like that? Think about the guy or the girl that you were dating that didn't or did do whatever you said you hated. How come there was repeated energy of that? Finally, oh my God, it's like my brain feels scrubbed. I finally have solved the puzzle. I'll solve the puzzle, Alex. And I want the daily double, because I'm so fucking sure this is right. This is finally the answer for my life anyway. Explore it. Read the book too. See if it resonates with you. I'm just here again, a servant, getting the message out. Cosplaying Garnet and trying to take a lot of emotion out of a thing that's a touchy subject and can be potentially triggering. But I'm telling you, the joy and the peace that it brings when you realize that you've been the one doing the calling. It's been coming from inside of you to have these experiences that you think you don't want. And your soul and ego even wants you to stroke the part of you that did bring it in and say, look at what you did. You created chaos again. You know, I heard Tony Robbins talk about this, how humans really love uncertainty. That people will come to his seminars and they'll be like, I have a great wife, perfect life, everything I've ever wanted, and I'm so bored. So I had an affair with the girl at the office, tale as old as time, right? And what that's about is creating chaos. When we don't pay our bills on time, we're creating chaos. We like a little bit of fun. And we all say, I hate this. I hate when it's like this. I hate when I feel disorganized. But yet we'll do the thing over and over again. But I thought that message from Tony Robbins was particularly poignant, because as humans, as much as you say I want the safe thing, we all to a degree sadistically like the uncertainty. We like the unpredictability. We like it so much that we'll create it when we get bored. And that was very much back to the message with Persephone. She got bored with being this all-encompassing goddess that was self-healing and self-creating, so she split herself dualistically to experience the light. Girl in the meadow, picking the flowers, and innocence in the shadow. Girl being kidnapped by a terrible overlord who was so sexually aroused by her, he had to feed her the pomegranates to keep her there and make her stay, so that she would never ever stray away. Something about her shadow side, like the sadistic idea of being kept that way. It's triggering to hear, but it's not. These are not my theses. I'm only passing the message along. My sweet queens and angels and sisses out there, I love you, but it's something you needed to hear. And God knows, this might have just changed the course of my life. This, in fact, did change the course of my life. It set me free. I even know it because I've manifested different physically. How I show up to you tonight is not something I ever had planned. It's not something I was ever going to do. Yes, y'all, I have hair just like you, but I wasn't ever going to show. I'm interestingly private, and there is a garnet side of me, to be sure, where I just like to you to know that it's always strong and it's always perfectly coiffed. But you know, life isn't perfect; it's messy, and even this right now, being out here living my best braless life, TMI, with my real gorgeous hair, with the gray streaks that God gave me that I earned from all you client babies that make me grow up, but also sometimes drive me crazy, with my hands without nails. This is an indication that there's been a physical manifestation of change, and that happened in the 3 hours it took me to listen to that book. Take a look. It's in a book. It's Reading Rainbow. To the fairy sister that recommended it to me, the way you've been opening portals is something that is a joy to see. Fairies open portals for you. There has never been a fairy that I've encountered, whether it was I had a male nurse fairy who was just so fantastic, but he figured out exactly what was going on with me. Out of all these doctors that have been in and out of my room, it was a fairy nurse who was like, oh, this is like this and like this, it's like this, and literally diagnosed before I had an official diagnosis, the exact diagnosis they gave me. Fairies are fucking amazing. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. But this fairy that dropped a dime on this book for me knew I had work to do. I've never, ever felt more self-empowered to actually shift the reality of the life that I've lived, that I've said I've hated, but somehow I've clearly sadistically enjoyed it. I needed this information. So thank you. And thank you to the client too, in case you watch, who recommended the book as well. Whenever you did, and thank you to that fairy. But the portal opened because of this pattern that I was doing of manifesting repeated, unrequited situations with people that I just adored. And that was what the sad part is. Isn't that how it always goes? It'll be somebody that you just fucking adore, that you just love, that you just think is the bee's knees, that you would just, make the best of situations in life for. And those are the people that are like, I'm not impressed. And I guess there's a part of me that wasn't impressed energetically, or I wouldn't create a whole facsimile to physically look at rejecting me. Y'all, life is a trip. But this right here, Existential Kink, or the Kinky Existential. I said it so many times, it's like to catch my brain. Also, I've been saying The Art of War, which is Sun Tzu, in a lot of my videos. Really, it's the War of Art, which is written, both things exist, they're both books, but the War of Art is Stephen Pressfield, and that talks about our resistance to create and become a professional and sit down and show up for our shift. Shout out to Emily to show up to our shift and to do the work. And so that's Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art. So I stand corrected. I was like, I'm going to have to correct this in so many videos. I kept talking about it, and I kept saying Sun Tzu's The Art of War. So I do have Art of War cards. Maybe my angels are channeling that I need to do an Art of War reading for you guys. Maybe I might do that tonight. We'll see. But anyway, guys, I'm meandering now. You got the meat and the potatoes. We are more perverse than we think. We are kinky. We are sadistic. And if you have a situation that you have repeatedly brought into your life, even if you think it's the most low vibrational depraved thing, there's a part of you that likes it. There's a part of you that wants to have that experience, or there's a part of you that feels like you deserve it and you relish in it, and you need to acknowledge that honestly. That's integrating your shadow completely. And when you do that, it can dissipate. It no longer has the same power over you. Unrequited is a thing that I will reference to now, but it is no longer part of my life. I get it now. I get exactly why this has been here. My body, a thing that I've struggled with year after year after year, she and I have an interface to do, because I have actually fused, and I'm looking at the truth as to why there were payoffs in staying this way, and why I need to face that orgasmically and fully, and understand that I have work to do, and understanding that out of the pain that I derived pleasure too. It's a message, y'all. So good. Cosplaying Garnet for you. I feel strong. I feel empowered. I feel like I can tackle the galaxies. I get it now. and I want to pass that energy on to you. So read Existential Kink. I will actually put the author's name. When I tell you I found this book, got the recommendation today, and heard it today, and bought it today, so I have not memorized her name. I think it might be Karen or something, maybe something. I don't know. Don't make me lie. But I will definitely make sure to put it in my description box, which you all know I never put anything in the description box as of late. I'm just on here trying to get these messages out and be great. That part. So I will put in the description box what her name is, and I will make sure that you can go get your hands on it. It is worth a read if you're ready to challenge yourself and to hear something that's gonna fucking piss you off, because it's been you the whole time that has been holding at bay the greatness in the life that you say that you want to embody. It has been you. The call's coming from inside the house, sis. And now you get to read it or not, or listen to this video and intake some of the Cliff Note Garnet premises. And you can decide which universe you want to be in. You are a crystal gem. You are powerful, and this is a moment of passion. And it's something to see, to know that maybe you have been living passionately about the thing you said you hate, but now that you know, it's now a thing you can face. So good. This is probably one of my favorite channelings ever. It's like such a juicy moment. So integrated. So good sharing energy with you. Come back and join me next time, guys, and we will continue to literally, I meant what I said. I said what I said. Evolve. Literally together. We just did it. Together. We just fused. That part. So good sharing energy with you.